Hey everybody, it's Josh with Beard on a Budget. And today we're going to continue along with the little build or reassembly project that we got going on here. I had a couple of little things to my AR pistol that we had that you might have seen in one of the last videos. If not, I'll try to post a link to it in here, and that way you can get a good look at it and everything. Today we're going to assemble everything. Now, off camera I did go ahead and redo the flash hider. I don't like to take these on and off. This one's built for quick attaching of a suppressor. I don't like to take those on and off because I don't want to worry about messing up the threads and everything on that. So gig me if you want to. It ain't gonna hurt my feelings. I don't have none of those. So now for assembly, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go ahead and do the bolt carrier assembly first. Now what you're gonna do on this, the first thing we're going to start off with is the ejector here. Now this one, that little spring right in here tends to get lost a lot if you're not careful. This one actually has a O-ring gasket that goes on the top of it, which I haven't really seen before having this one, and it's just, I like it. I mean, it sits in there, it helps hold that spring in place and everything. You sit her right on top, line up your hole there, give it a little bit of a squeeze together, and you take your little pin and set it in place. Once it goes in, you just push it through till it holds in, and it's in place. Now once that's said and done, you take your bolt carrier assembly, slide your bolt in the bolt carrier assembly, line up your little holes there, and take your pin, slide it in, give it a little bit of a turn, take your firing pin, slide it down in, let it ride home, and now take your firing pin retaining pin. Make sure you put it in the correct side, the side that is beveled and made for that. Slide it through. Make sure that it goes all the way through into the holes on the other side to hold in your firing pin until it protrudes a little bit here and is in place. Now everything is in place for the bolt carrier assembly. Now, one of the big things with these, the gas rings are bad for burning up, especially if you're running suppressors or anything like that. There are specialized tools for checking that and everything, and one of the things that I was always taught in the military and in the gun community and everything, one of the easiest ways to check it is just to take your bolt assembly, set it up. If it stands up on its own, the rings are good. If it slides down very easily, you might want to replace them rings. They're probably pretty bad. But basically just take your bolt carrier assembly, run your bolt to the front, set it up on its end. See if it'll stand up. If it does, you're good. Right now, I'm good. So we'll set that to the side and we'll go ahead and work on the rest of it. Now, your upper receiver assembly. One thing you need to watch for on here is just make sure your threads and everything are good. A lot of times if you get wraps or anything put on your weapon over time, they'll flake off like that, right around where the gas tube is. This one here is kind of working its way loose just because it gets hot. I mean, it's not that it's an inferior finish on it or anything. It's just it gets hot right in there when you fire a lot. So just kind of be mindful of that whenever you pick different things to do on it. Now you take your barrel assembly, and you'll notice it has a little pin right here on the barrel. All right, and that is going to line up with that hole on the top, and it's just to keep it orientated, to let you know, hey, that's where it wants to live. Thread it on there. And once you get it to seat down, you're going to torque it. Now, follow your manufacturer's torque specifications on it. Some of them are different than others. It all depends on the barrel, the nut, and everything. Now, off camera, I'm going to go ahead and torque this down and everything, and I'll get right back with you. But first, I'll just go ahead and show you. You get one of these little wrenches here, and it has the little setup that'll go down on that, and you got to look over my wrench. It's a little beat up, and I've had it a while. You know, don't judge me. But it's going to sit down on these, and that's basically how you're going to tighten it up. So let me get that tightened up, and I'll get right back with you. Alrighty, we got her torqued down to spec. The spec usually runs anywhere between 30 to 45 foot-pounds for your ARs. Now, you got your gas tube. Your gas tube, biggest thing to watch out for on your gas tube, I know mine's a little dirty. I've got another one on order. I didn't know it was quite this disheveled. But there's no holes in it. It's not busted or anything like that. But the biggest thing to look for in this, in your gas tube, of course, any kind of holes or anything like that, but any kind of disfigurements on the back here. If your bolt carrier assembly has been smacking into it or anything like that, of course you're going to need to change it. But you know, the gas tube is going to ride right up in here, and just always be mindful. Check your areas in here and on here to make sure that there's no kind of fouling or anything like that, because your gas tube goes down, your gun goes down. It's just as simple as that. You're not going to be able to do shooty things if it's not wanting to work. Now, I like these little low profile gas blocks. That's what I try to run on every build that I do. You know, I like the old style, you know, with the A2 gas block system and everything. I do like those, but it just looks cleaner without them. But the way you're going to want to do these, on the bottom you can see it's got the little indent here for the Allen screw. But take your gas system and run it up into the upper receiver assembly right there, where the gas system is supposed to go. Now you're going to have a couple of holes on your gas system. The big one on the bottom, of course, is going to go down toward the bottom because that's where the gas comes from. It comes up through the barrel, goes into the block, and that's where the upper receiver is going to get the gas from. The gas tube will get it and send it up into the gas system, and that's how it goes in there. Now these things sometimes can be a kind of a little bit of a pain to get in there because they do get dirty and gummed up and everything, and you just got to be patient with them and work with them a little bit. You can take tools and, you know, get in there and kind of clean it up a little bit. Sometimes it's just hard to do. You might have to use a little bit of spray, some COP, some oil, whatever oil you like to use. I'm not going to tell you what to use. You know, I'm not your mommy, I ain't your boss. Don't want to be neither one of them. I just kind of giving you my little take on things and how to do things here. But you're going to work it in there. You can't. Some people like to put the bolt assembly or bolt carrier assembly in the weapon itself and push it up in there. You can do that. I don't care much for doing that because I don't want to put more strain on these than normal. But I'll usually just take a little bit of COP and put on there and push it in there, and use your man hands or your girly fingers, whatever you got. Slide it up in there, and then once it's in place, holler at your buddy Alan and steal one of his wrenches and find the right size. If you're anything like me, you got one of these little multi ones here that is about every size on the planet, usually except for the one you need, and tighten her down. Now the back one that goes into that little reset, I give it a really good snug, because you don't want your gas system kind of working itself loose. And the other one, snug it up as well. Might as well while you're here. And then right in that little hole there, you're going to have a roll pin that goes in it. Now, sometimes it doesn't quite go in all the way. You can probably tell on there. I don't know if you can see that too awful well, but it's just not quite where it needs to be. Well, that's where I take my little. You can take a cleaning kit. They come with these little rods. You can take that little rod and kind of manipulate it a little to go where it needs to go, and that's all it takes. Just a little bit of pressure in there, and it pops it into place. And then your roll pin will go in there, and then you take your little brass hammer and peck it into place. It shouldn't take a whole lot to peck it in place. Once it's in place, you just make sure that it's not sticking out on either side. And give it the old wiggle back and forth to make sure that it's not going to move, and then there's your gas system put in place. Now, I don't run a dust cover on this particular pistol setup. I don't really know why. I haven't found a dust cover that I really care a whole lot for to put on there, and it's not really in dusty environments anyway, so it doesn't bother me to not have it. If it bothers you that I don't have it, well then send me one and I'll put it on there. How about that? Now, this is the handguard that I've got for this particular one here. These are all the big rage now. It's the one that came on it. It came with a fancy little finish that's on it and everything. I've kind of beat the snot out of it some. But this one is, I will say I like it. It's very lightweight. The only downside was it doesn't really have a whole lot of attachment points, so you end up having to buy these systems to go on it. Now, it's not really that big of a deal. They're just kind of a pain when they're on the weapon to change. Now, me personally, one thing I like to do is I'll take and put them on before I put it on the weapon itself, just because I can get my big meat claws in there to tighten everything up. The biggest thing is just don't tighten it all the way down to where the screw's sticking out of the back. Otherwise, you will not get your fingers in there, or you will not get it on there to get it on the weapon. Let's see if we can do this. See if we can do this without looking like a total buffoon. A little bit's fine. I don't mind to look like a little bit of a buffoon, as long as I don't look like a total one. If I do it. It is what it is. Okay, just kind of hold it in place. Take your Allen wrench, put it on there. Just enough to hold it somewhat in place. And do the same thing on the one in the front. Just enough to hold it down. That way, once it goes on the pistol, you can, as you can see, it's still moving around where you'll be able to tell where you want it, and you just slide that down in place. It's up just a hair. Loosen that up. Alright, get the slide in place. Make sure everything's good and clear in there. Everything's lined up. Everything's where it needs to be. Now, once everything's where it needs to be, you're going to want to tighten it down in somewhat of a sequence. I tend to go with the center section first. Tighten it just a little. Tighten down the next one. And go back to the other one. This may have a torque spec. I don't know. I don't. Like I said, I am not a gunsmith, so don't take what I say and do as gospel. Just showing you what I do in my day-to-day. Just to pass the time. Now, with your accessory rail, you can kind of put it really about anywhere you want it to go. It's just all a matter of your preference and where you like to have it, want to have it, and all that. I tend to run mine a little bit more toward the front, just because where it does have the shorter barrel on it, it kind of keeps things, out of the way a little. But like I said, it's all about preference. It's where you want it to go, where you want it to be. Now that we got those kind of torqued down just to snug-a-duggas, like I said, with those and everything else on here, you don't have to go super nuts crazy with it to tighten it down. It's, it'll stay pretty much where you want it to go. Now let's tighten this thing down. What we're going to do is to make sure that it stays somewhat straight, because it's going to be aggravating if it's off center, even a little bit. If you're like me, sometimes I'm a bit of a OCD with things, but just kind of hold it in place there and give her a good tighten. Same way with this as everything else. You don't have to torque the snot out of it. Just get it good and tight. It's not holding on the world. It's nothing super fancy crazy. Now, one thing that I like to run on this, this is something that came with the pistol when I bought it, and basically it's just one of them little stops, just to kind of help you with your hand placement. And it's a little two-piece thing. I'm pretty sure it was Magpul. Yeah, it's Magpul. And some people like to run it that way. Some people like to run it that way. Run it however you want. I don't care. You do what you want to do with yours. But this is the way I do with mine. You set it on the firearm there to where it catches. The other side marries together. They'll hold in place wherever you want it to go. Take your screw, put it in there, tighten it down. It's that simple. Put it on there, snug it down, give her a couple of little pushes and tugs and twists and all that to make sure that it's going to stay in place. And that right there is all together. Now, one of the things that I am going to add to this, I have this ambidextrous charging handle that no matter which side you pull, it'll, this was another Delta Team tactical item that I have, and it was on a blind box that they have where they'll send you, whatever color they decide to send you, that's what you'll get. And I'm fine with that, no big deal. Let's oil this thing up a little bit. One of the big pet peeves I have is people over-oiling weapons whenever they have them. Look, guys, the only parts you're going to need to oil is where you have metal-on-metal contact. Run you a little bead down the side there, down that side. You'll start seeing where metal-on-metal contact is by it being shiny. And that was one of the things that all you service guys were taught, most likely the same as I was taught and learned over the years. There's no need to oil excessive amounts if that's not where it's touching. If it's not rubbing, why does it need oil there? It's not doing anything. But put that together, see if everything sits the way it's supposed to sit, everything locks the way it's supposed to lock. Now we'll grab the lower that we put together in a previous video. You may remember, you may not. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. You know, just trying to start this channel, get it going, showing you a couple of little things. Maybe you'll learn something, maybe you'll completely hate everything I'm doing. I don't know, we'll see. But put it on, put everything together, and there it is. There's the completed reassembled AR pistol that I was showing you, and we're going to go ahead and go through our little functions check. Everything goes the way it's supposed to go. Safe does safe things. Fire does fire things. Trigger resets the way it's supposed to. A couple of little ambidextrous things added on here and everything. One thing I do want to show you, the bolt catch. Alright, your normal bolt catch, you lock your bolt to the rear, you have to hold there. Now you have this flat pad that you can smack to, you know, to reset. But the thing I really love, whenever you're in your workspace here, you go and you reload your mag, all you gotta do is flip it right there. One more time, this time without the shaky camera. You take your finger, push it down right there. Make it a whole lot simpler, a whole lot easier. If you like it the old school way, you just, it's still there to hit. It just gives you a little more surface area to hit. But there it is. That is the reassembly and a couple of little item changes to the AR pistol. If you like what you see, please hit that like, share, subscribe button. Help grow this channel. Maybe we'll make something nice out of it. Start getting some companies to send us anything. I am not sponsored in any way, shape, form, or fashion. I'd love to be. I'd love for, you know, Magpul, Anderson Manufacturing, just about anybody to send me some things so I can bring it to y'all and show you what it is. We're going to eventually get some more optics to put on this, and we'll go from there. But for now, y'all be kind. Tell somebody you love them. Thanks for coming out.